Hello and welcome to the next Series 12 reaction. We are here with Episode 7, which is called Can You Hear Me? And I believe it's by a new writer we have not seen before, so... Always interesting to get a new writer, like we did with Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, because you never really know what to expect. There's no limits to what they could and can't be, so... Always interested to see what that's all about. Now, having said that, I was on Twitter earlier today to set up the next live stream on this channel, and I did get a quick, unfortunate glance at some of people's opinions on this episode. I've seen some mixed things, so I didn't intend to do that, but it just came up on my screen and I couldn't avoid it. But that being said, I didn't see any details about it, so I don't know what happens in the story, thankfully. And who knows, maybe I'll have a different opinion to some people, maybe I won't. But yeah, I am going into this with a little bit of foresight on what people think of it. So, regardless of that, without further ado, let's get into Can You Hear Me? Oh, we've got another pre-title sequence. First since Spyfall. Syria. Love that setting. Reminds me a bit of Rogue One, actually. The hell? Looked a bit like a dinosaur. Also, I'm a little bit tired, so hopefully that won't affect this viewing. Also, I've been watching a lot of Classic Who lately, so this might be a strange one to watch. Charlene James and Chris Chibnall. Oh, that's from Arachnids in the UK. What the hell? Ah.
Got your messages, didn't I? Yeah.
Oh, direction is weird. Oh.
This way. Oh, who am I supposed to share all the interesting stuff with?
Interesting.
I'm coming to say hello.
Leaving the companions at home. Whoa, what the fuck? Oh my god, what the hell is that? Very strange. Like a beast gorilla thing, but with a weird face. Almost like an aardvark. Whoa. Okay. Very strange start. Interesting. So there's a big beast thing in Syria in the past. The Doctor's by herself, the companions are separated, there's something that's connecting the two time zones. Some kind of weird psychedelic fear thing. I don't know. Slightly interesting so far, I suppose. I knew that this was going to be a bit of a weird one. I knew from the start. From hearing the title. Yeah, it just had to be. So I suppose it's definitely open for something abstract. Could be interesting. I mean, we got It Takes You Away last series, so, maybe it'll be something like that. Who knows? We'll see what happens. God, this direction is giving me a headache. Oh.
What are you doing here?
Invading dreams. The first thought I had was End of Time, because the Master was invading dreams in that one. Here come the fingers. There we go. Eee. Oh! Wait, what? Wait, Ryan heard the finger go into his ear.
Oh, in 1380. They explained about the TARDIS and the fact that you're from 700 years in the future.
I'm really not ready for today.
I like Jodie doing the science. That's good.
Get me an A to Z of the universe, and I'll be able to stick my finger straight up. No, I've got no idea.
Right then, better idea. Not fidgeting.
Imagine A to Z of the universe, though.
I don't like it. Is it gonna hurt?
No?
Looks like a Dalek head with the
Yeah.
things coming out of his head like that.
Focus on the... But where?
Whoa, what the hell's that? Oh my god, I like this set. I like this set. Very odd.
Let's take a little zoom in.
Ooh, little musical strum.
Are you here? Is it you?
That's it.
Hmm.
She's trapped. That's what I saw.
She looks a little bit like Storm from X-Men.
We gotta...
Eee. Fingers. That was a lot of exposition. I think part of the problem with this episode is that whilst there are some really interesting ideas, like a prison inside of an orb, pulling two planets together, you got this bald guy with the fingers, and he's locking out these people from weird time zones. You got this monster. There's all interesting ideas. The problem is that it's firstly there's not really any tension, and also there's a lot of exposition. So I think this would be so much better if we could just run through the story and its events rather than having to, have everything explained to us that we've already just seen. I understand that you might have children watching and they need to have things explained to them because it's a very outside the box episode. But I think it really holds back what you could do with the story when you literally use exposition to explain something we've already seen. So it's iffy because, I do understand that you want these kind of things to be accessible, but you also are trying to do something a bit balmy. So it's a bit like you're sort of halfway between two very different approaches. And I think it would be smarter to go for one or the other. So far I would say that the heavy emphasis on exposition is holding back the tension that the story could have. But we'll see where it goes from here. It certainly has a cool visual style, though, I'll say that. Sorry if I'm not reacting enough. It's just it's one of those episodes I have to really take in to understand. Oh. The dregs. Ah. Here we go. Ooh.
Why am I hooked up to this? To tell you, Mr. O'Brien, cancer's returned. Well, no, that can't be right. I've had a checkup. Why didn't you save me? Let me try again.
Ooh. Okay. So it digs into your fears and nightmares.
Eternity is long, and we are cursed to see it all.
Ah.
The Eternals have their games.
The Eternals.
Guardians have their
Right answer. You weren't asking the right questions.
My freedom. Two creatures from another realm descended into a universe where they were worshipped as gods. They saw two planets and laid a wager through the populations. Wars began between species, then between the planets themselves.
Okay. Quite interesting, I'd say. This is a very strange episode. Like, I guarantee this is going to be one that a lot of people won't get. A lot of people won't be into. A lot of people probably won't enjoy. But I think the number one thing for me is I have a lot of respect for these kind of episodes because they do something that we don't usually get. It's interesting. It's really interesting for me. I wouldn't say this is like everything I would want in an episode or anything, but to have something like this every now and then, I think it really works for being a bit out there, because sometimes you need that to maintain the show's creativity. I think this is quite a creative idea. It's just that, we'll have to see where it goes. Ooh, Timeless Child. Wouldn't you think they would want to make it Sonic proof if they knew? But oh well.
Alright, mate, try not to freak out, yeah? But you're on a floating space platform in a gravitational pull between two colliding planets, halfway across the universe because of the guy who was stealing your nightmares through creepy, detachable fingers. Frank?
It's gonna be scaring children, are we? Oh, if I was a kid and I saw that, I'd be fucking frightened. Ugh. That's pretty fucked up. You're going after children.
You made my nightmares real.
I'll have more to say when we get to the end. I'll just wait for it to finish and then I'll speak on what I think.
And you can't argue. I get down and I shut myself off.
Oh.
Worried you've left and are going to do something stupid. I've heard things are tough. Lincoln, I flippin' do remember you.
You want to come in?
Sick again, you know, about the cancer coming back, and I didn't know who to say it to, so I thought I'd say it to you. You know, seeing as you're a doctor.
I should say a reassuring thing now, shouldn't I?
Yeah, probably.
I'm still quite socially awkward.
Alright. So. First thing to say. Really good idea. I like the whole premise of it. The fact that it's this... they're explaining this sort of backstory where there's the prison that's held between the two worlds. And I like the sort of, you know, what the villains are doing. It's very abstract. This is an episode that focuses on fears, nightmares, mental illness as well. So you've got Graham's anxiety about his cancer. You've got Yaz's depression that she was suffering a few years earlier. That came back at the end. Ryan's part of it. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that part of it. That part of it was probably the less focused of the three. But there may be something about, you know, friendship or human interaction. I'm not 100% sure. That was the part that I wasn't so sure on. Then you've also got a little bit with the Doctor and the Timeless Child. So, and you know, the thing with all the different time zones and the places like Syria and the present, it was interesting. I think this has a very interesting idea, and in terms of the characters, it does some things with the characters that, you know, that Chibnall has obviously added to the series. That is interesting. The problem with this episode, though, is there's a few, actually. The first thing is that there is no tension. The story structure isn't built in a way for tension, so it would be very understandable why someone would feel bored watching this or just zone out, because there's no really momentum at all. It's a story that's told to you, but it's not really delivered in a way that's impactful, and that's probably why I think a lot of people, like based on what I saw on Twitter earlier this morning, why a lot of people probably feel quite cold on this, is that it doesn't really have any tension. You know, you really do have to be quite interested in what the story is trying to do to get into it, because it doesn't have a particular mood or momentum to it to really entice someone from the outside. The other thing is, there's a lot of exposition. So the style of this TARDIS team in Chibnall's era, it kind of wasted potential story time by delivering exposition to explain things that were happening in the story. And whilst I understand that for a casual audience, they need to be able to, get what's going on, to have the weird events explained to them in a way that they can understand, I just think that it would have been smarter to take a risk and make it a bit more balmy and have more story take place within the time limit, or have this be a two-parter and have the exposition not feel like it's taking away from what you could do with the episode. But the third and biggest problem with this is the fact that the conclusion to the main plot is way too rushed. It felt a bit like Spyfall Part 2 when the Spyfall plot, the Kasavan plot, ended, except probably I would say maybe even worse than that, where it didn't have enough time for the villains to really realize their takeover, and it just sort of ended and it transitioned into the last 10 minutes, which was the more character-focused stuff. I feel like there was not enough time spent with that part of the plot of the villains taking over and the conclusion, and there was too much time given to the exposition, and I think there was an imbalance of it, which upsets the part of the story that really gives it that punch, because I do genuinely think this story had really cool ideas in it, but they just weren't explored in the right way, and that part of it lets it down a bit. But I will say that as a small little character study, there were some positives that I have. I just wish the execution was better than it is, because this could have been a standout episode had it been executed in a way that was had a lot more pack of a punch, a bit more momentum, and really knew how to balance out the actual plot to limit the exposition and to explore the ideas in a way that is enticing for an audience without having to waste time explaining it. It didn't really hit that full gear that a story like this needs to, and I think that's the biggest problem. So overall, I'd just say that I think that this is a very interesting episode, but it just doesn't have the weight or the impact to really make an impression, and the ending was too rushed. Whilst I understand that it needs to focus on the characters at the end, the resolution of the plot itself just wasn't satisfying, and that really lets it down, unfortunately. But I don't know, I didn't think it was bad either. I don't think this is necessarily a bad episode, having said that, because this did do some positive things as well. Like, it was very abstract. I like the set design, I like the CGI, and I like the little animation they used. That part of exposition I liked. The visual style and everything. Another thing I would also say is that I think maybe this TARDIS team feels unnatural in these kind of episodes. But yeah. Yeah, it was... Can you hear me? This is quite a bit of a bizarre one. But I'm sure we will get more in depth onto it in the review. So with that said, see you in the review, and for the reaction I will see you next time for episode 8, which I can't remember the title of, but I believe it's the penultimate one before the two-part finale. So, we'll see you then.